Lots to talk about on the sleaze front. I know you expect me to ask you some questions on that, but first up today apparently is Housing Day at COP26. It's the penultimate day of the summit. Thank the Lord for that. But you are calling on the government really to get a little bit more tough on the issue of green homes. Lots of talk about insulation in recent weeks and months with Insulate Britain. What do you want the government to do?
We want the government to bring forward the low emission standards for new homes. So our homes at the moment are still being built not to that highest standard of insulation, of energy efficiency, and are not having installed some of the new heating systems that all of us are going to have to eventually switch to, so sort of carbon neutral home heating. And so we want the government to bring that forward. At the moment, they've got it earmarked for 2025. We want them to bring that forward to today. The industry are ready for that. And in so doing, this could save us all around about £5 billion in the medium term from having to then retrofit all these new homes that we're building today to meet these standards. But basically,
so what you're talking about is let's make new homes more expensive for those trying to get on the housing ladder, and fit heating systems, those water pumps that don't actually work, so have not much more expensive, not as warm homes. I'm not sure that's going to go down very well.
Well, look, they're going to be doing that very soon anyway.
Not in my house. You're going to have to send 10 police officers in to hold me down while you take my gas boiler out, Lucy.
Well, look, there's the home heating pump system, for example, works very well where the fabric of the home is very well insulated and is built to these very high standards of insulation and energy efficiency. So new homes are a very good place to start with home heating pumps. So if you get the fabric of the house right and you get these high standards of insulation, of efficiency, and of not needing very much heat.
Which costs a lot of money. Those water pumps don't work. That's been well established. They cost twice as much. They don't heat homes as properly. And building new homes of that calibre will cost a fortune. How much more is that going to cost?
Well, it will save us money in the long run. It will save
Lucy, that wasn't what I asked. How much more will it cost to build those homes to those standards? Because the private sector will be dealing with that.
Not very much more, because if you put that in at the beginning, and you make those homes energy efficient, and you make those homes fit for purpose with the energy heating price, it doesn't cost that much more, and it costs a lot more to retrofit in the end. Around about another £6,000 to £10,000 per home to retrofit in the end, which is what people are going to have to do. So it will keep people's energy bills down as well.
Well, yeah, apparently you're going to save up to £100 on your bills each year, but given that your boiler is going to cost about 6 times as much, and all the extra work on the house will end up costing 20, 30, 40,000 more.
No, it won't. It doesn't cost that much, Julia.
You don't know. You didn't give me a figure. How do you know?
Well, it doesn't cost that. To install it when the house is being built, and to make sure that the home is well insulated, meets the high energy efficiency requirements that are expected. That's when heating pumps work well, and they are cheaper to fit in at the beginning than they are to retrofit. What you're talking about is retrofitting, which is a more expensive exercise, and that's exactly what I'm saying. If we don't build new homes today to these high standards, we're going to all have to pay more in the end to retrofit them, a lot more than if we build like that today. So that's why the government, it's a no-brainer for the government.
That's the assumption that we are going to be forced to all have a retrofit. I think you'll find that I think you'll find that voters might have something different to say about that. I tell you what, when every single MP has one of those water heating pumps in their home, then come back to me and talk to me about it. But you'll be wearing a cardigan and a fleece and gloves in your own home during the middle of winter while you do it.
But that's why we need to have a very ambitious plan for retrofitting.
Let's talk about
what you are right in saying, Julia. What you are right in saying is that for many homes in this country, those sort of heat pumps won't suffice because they are so poorly insulated and they are not very energy efficient. So those home heating pumps won't work for those homes.
But you've just said we're all going to have them. Lucy,
we've got to have a very, very ambitious plan to retrofit our homes, which is what Labour's also proposing.
Can we? Yeah, okay. We're not going to be able to retrofit one in a home that's not then going to ever be warm, are you? We could talk about this for hours. Let's talk about the accusations of Tory sleaze that have been going on. Sir Geoffrey Cox gave a valiant defence. He said yesterday in a very sort of hard-hitting statement, saying basically, how much he earns and where he works while he's an MP as a QC is really pretty much up to the electorate in his local constituency. He'll leave them to decide. Do we need to have rules where we actually say what an MP's duties actually are, what they are required to do and where they're required to be, how many hours they work and the like, and whether or not they can have second jobs at all?
Well, look, I don't think MPs should have second jobs. There are some small exceptions around people's professional kind of needs and also kind of writing maybe and that kind of thing is permitted. But I think the paid directorships, the paid consultancies that many MPs, particularly Conservative MPs, currently enjoy, which they get because they are a member of Parliament, because they have access and knowledge of Parliament, because they have access to ministers and they know what's going on, that should not be the case. Because you're right, the voter is the boss. Our constituents are the boss. And it's not just what we can get away with within the rules, but does our activity, does what we do every day as MPs, does that pass the test, the public opinion test that our constituents expect of us? And I think in the case of Geoffrey Cox, earning so much money abroad and not being around to serve his constituents, clearly the work that he does as a barrister is his first job. His second job is being an MP. Clearly, that doesn't pass that public opinion test.
I understand the difference between, say, being a director or consultant as opposed to, say, keeping up your skills as a doctor. We know a number of MPs, particularly on the Labour side, have got GPs among their benches. But there seems to be a lot of concern over how much money Geoffrey Cox had earned. If he'd earned just, I don't know, not just, lots of people live on that money, 20 grand a year extra earnings, as opposed to, more than 5.5 million. Even though he did the same number of hours, and even if he was abroad all that time, do you think people would have the same issue? Or is a lot of this a bit about politics of envy?
I think it's about the hours, actually. I think it's about where your primary focus is. And obviously, one of the things that we have to declare as MPs is not just how much money we are earning from outside interest, but how many hours and how much time that's taking up. And I don't think that anyone objectively looking at that in this case could argue that the majority of his time is being devoted to his constituents, and that's what it should be. The majority of his time should be being devoted to his constituents, to his role as a parliamentarian, not to his other job. But it's not another job, it's the other way around, isn't it? So I think that's where there are concerns. And then there are obviously concerns about using parliamentary resources to do that as well.
And so he has been referred to the Standards Commissioner about that. It's thought that he used, but certainly it looks like he used on Zoom using his Commons office for a meeting for the British Virgin Island case he was being paid for, which would absolutely 100% be against the rules. Can I ask you also about the story that's in the papers today? The Defence Secretary Ben Wallace has spoken out about this and said 3 MPs, 1 Labour MP, 2 SNP MPs showed a lack of respect for the enduring work of the armed forces. They took a trip, 2.5-hour plane journey to Gibraltar ahead of Armistice Day today. And they were so drunk, it would appear, well refreshed, I think the terminology is, at the end of this 2.5-hour trip, that one of the MPs, a Labour MP, I won't name her, apparently had to get a wheelchair from the baggage reclaim onto the military minibus. What do you make of this? This is incredibly disrespectful during what is effectively working hours as well.
Well, look, we all need to hold ourselves in the highest standards and, of course, absolutely respect our armed forces, especially today, especially this week, the work that our armed forces do, the sacrifice that they and their families make for us. We all honour that. We all fully respect that. I don't know the details of this incident. I do know that the Labour MP concerned, I do know that she recently stepped down from the front bench due to medical reasons and that she is on medication. And, I'm sure the circumstances around that will be looked into.
All right. Lucy Powell, really appreciate you joining us as always. Labour MP, Shadow Housing Secretary, of course, as well.